Dai 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 da dai 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 dum yai da dai dai yai 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 dum ya da dai da dai 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 dum yai dai 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 ya da dai 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 dum ay yada hida ya 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 da 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 dum yada da 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 dum ya ya da 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 yada da 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 ya da 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 ya ay, 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 dum. Yada, da, 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 da. Yada, da, 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 dum. Boker Tov, good morning. It is great to be back with you. It's a beautiful day outside, although it's a little bit humid, but maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. For the rest of the day. Hopefully, it will be not raining. Feels like every day there's rain, but every day that the rain comes also doesn't feel like um, there's any real change in humidity or temperature. But anyway, that's what we do. We're here to complain about whatever that is and looks like. But here we are. So we're still doing it. The sun is shining, so we'll take it as a great day. And so we are bridging to the second part or the second half of this week's Parsha. Maseh, remembering the journey, looking back before moving forward. It's a moment to stop, a moment of gratitude. So as we come to the very end of the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, the Torah is doing something unexpected. Instead of immediately crossing to the promised land, there's a pause. It's like any kind of threshold that we reach, we're not running through the gate. We're thinking about, wow, I made it to the gate, and then we're proceeding through, as it should be. But sometimes we forget to look back to see just how far we've come. So the Torah lists every place in the history of Israeli camping during the 40 years in the wilderness, and 42 different stops. Some lasted a short time, others a longer time. Some were places of celebration, other places became places of heartbreak, and some are attached to stories we know very well. Many of them are just simply a name on a list. But when we think about it, or when we're reading it, I should say, it seems repetitive. It reminds me of, 2 books ago, when we're putting together the tabernacle, we're putting together the Mishkan, the portable tent of meeting, and over, like portions in a row, are talking about cubits and measurements and materials. So this also feels like that. It's very repetitive. And so why do we need to recount every step again? Wouldn't it be simple enough to say they wandered for 40 years? But it's suggested by many rabbis something that is worth mentioning. Beautiful. These reminders, or these sorry about that. These this recounting of stops and places teach that God is like a parent walking home with a child after a long and difficult journey. As they travel, the parent says, "Do you remember this place? This is where we rested. This is where you were frightened. This is where we found water. This is where we laughed together." In other words, the journey also mattered, not just the destination. And I think that's often something that we forget. We're so focused on what's next because we're hyper driven people. the next goal, the next holiday, the next stage of life, the next accomplishment, that we rarely appreciate how far we've already come. And I think that that's why when we gather for Kabbalat Shabbat or for Erev Shabbat, Friday night service, I seem to always mention something similar. Like, look how far we've come. It's time to take a deeper breath. Whether that comment comes from Ana B'Koach when we're less tangled up, or whether it comes at Vishamru about taking a breath, whatever that is, it's our reminder that we got to take a breath and we got to look back and see where we've come. And so the Torah insists that before entering that promised land, there's a pause, there's a look back, and there's an opportunity to remember. Not because every step was wonderful, because it wasn't. Some were painful, some were exhausting, some were filled with loss and uncertainty. But that's life, right? It's life for us right now. So of course it was life for them, even though they lived in simpler times. But every stop shaped the people that they were becoming. And that's true for all of us. If someone's asked to list the stations of our life, what would we remember? The places we celebrated, the places we grieved, the places that we hit a dead end where we felt like we can't keep going, unexpected friendships, the losses that have changed us, the joys that we never saw coming, but they just showed up. But we need to also remind ourselves that looking back isn't about living in the past. It's about recognizing that every chapter, even the difficult ones, has contributed to who we are today. Sometimes, a lot of times, we can only recognize growth in hindsight. And when we're in the moment, it simply feels like we're just surviving. And so often I get, comments about, oh, I don't know how you do it, or, oh, how are you? And often my response is surviving. But there are times where we're thriving. And so survival, for sure, is what we need to do every day. But recognizing growth and thriving is something that we also can't lose sight of. And years later, we realize that the experience of our people, as the experience of self, teaches us resilience. The relationship teaches us love. The disappointments teach us compassion. And that the season of uncertainty has taught us faith. Perhaps that's why the Torah records every step. Because none of it is wasted. Not the easy places, not the hard places, not even the places they wish they never visited. Because everything becomes part of the story. So as we prepare to leave Bamidbar behind, there's something comforting. Every one of us has had places we'd rather forget. Moments we'd never choose again. And yet, those moments too have shaped us. Not defining us, but redefining us. If you were making a list of stations in your own life, what places would you include? And which one in hindsight taught you something that you couldn't have learned any other way? As we prepare to enter Shabbat, I charge you with this questions, 2 questions. I'll repeat them. If you are making a list of stations of your own life, what places would you include? And which one in hindsight taught you something that you couldn't have learned any other way? Before the Israelites entered the next chapter, they stopped to remember the old one. There's wisdom in that. May we take time to honor the roads we've traveled. May we find gratitude not only for the destinations we've reached, but for the journey that brought us there. May we trust that even the chapters we would have never, ever chosen have become part of the people we're still becoming. Because every stop matters, every step matters, every chapter matters, and somehow, by the grace of God, they all become part of the story that leads us home. And tomorrow, we'll close the book together. On to the next. But before then, let's look back and see how far we've come. Beloved friends, it's almost Shabbat. Enjoy the hours we have before we see each other again at 6:30 tonight. For we are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you, and we'll see you in a few hours. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 O Rabbeinu Chai. Shabbat Shalom.